Now, with a message from the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, read by the Honourable David McGuinty, MP of Ottawa South.
Good morning, bonjour tout le monde, assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having us this morning. It's an honor and a privilege to be here to address the I.LEAD conference right here in Ottawa South with so many of our colleagues and candidates from all sides of the House, all parties. We are united this morning here. We're united in our grief and we're united in our support. I'm also here with, of course, Mona Fortier, our colleague from Ottawa-Gatineau, Member of Parliament, Anita Vandenbelt from Ottawa-West Nepean, and I think the others will introduce themselves momentarily. I want to begin by reading a statement that was issued by the Prime Minister right after these terrible attacks. Quote, Canadians across the country were appalled to hear the news of the terrorist attack on 2 mosques in Christchurch that killed and injured so many people, including children. We extend our deepest condolences to the families and friends who lost loved ones in what is a senseless tragedy. To the people of New Zealand and to Muslim communities around the world, you are in our hearts and minds. We join in your grief and stand with you at this incredibly difficult time. As we've just heard, far too often Muslims suffer unimaginable loss and pain in the places where they should feel safest. Canada remembers too well the sorrow we felt when a senseless attack on the Centre Culturel Islamic de Québec in Sainte-Foy claimed the lives of so many innocent people gathered in prayer. To move forward as a world, we need to recognize diversity as a source of strength, not a threat. In Christchurch, the victims were fathers, mothers, and children. They were neighbors, friends, and family members. And as with every life taken too soon, the full measure of their loss will never be known. Canada condemns this attack and will continue to work closely with New Zealand, our close partner and friend, and others to take action against violent extremism. Hate has no place anywhere. We must all confront Islamophobia and work to create a world in which all people, no matter their faith, where they live or where they were born, can feel safe and secure. On a happier note, we are here to support this year's theme for the I.LEAD conference, the art of perseverance. With all the challenges we face, our faith enables us to persevere and be steadfast. In this journey, we are not alone. Our faith guides us. It's wonderful to see so many of our neighbors here today. Through your jobs, your entrepreneurship, your public service, your volunteer work, you contribute to the vitality, the richness, the diversity, and the wealth of our society. Your members of Parliament, as your members of Parliament, we are incredibly proud of your contributions to Canada. We would like to thank the organizers for having us here today and for their continuing efforts to serve Muslims in the greater Ottawa-Gatineau community. This event is an excellent opportunity to reflect on faith, sacrifice, and goodwill. But it's also an occasion to remind ourselves that what really pulls us together, what unites us most, is our common humanity. Thank you for giving your children the gift of faith. Thank you for all that you do to contribute to enhanced understanding and mutual respect. For these are the hallmarks of a civilized society. Thanks you once again for your gracious invitation, and we wish you and your family continued health, prosperity, and happiness. I would like to ask Anita Vandenbelt to say a word and then ask Mona Fortier to read the Prime Minister's greeting for this morning.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. One of the very special things about being Canadian is that we can share each other's celebrations, each other's joys, and sadly this week, each other's sorrows. I would just like to thank the organizers, but in particular, the young people who put their heart and soul into organizing this, because you are an inspiration to us, and you are our future, and we are a better country because of all of you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, bon matin. Alors, j'ai le plaisir de vous lire les remarques du Premier ministre du Canada, le très honorable Justin Trudeau. Chers amis, Je suis heureux de présenter mes salutations les plus chaleureuses à celles et ceux qui assistent à la conférence islamique internationale annuelle I.LEAD, organisée par les Organisations musulmanes unies d'Ottawa-Gatineau. Cet événement réunit des délégués qui mobilisent et appuient la communauté musulmane et lui permet de se prendre en charge. Je suis persuadée que toutes les personnes présentes profiteront des présentations et des discussions prévues dans le cadre de la conférence de cette année et en repartiront avec le désir de mettre en pratique ce qu'elles ont appris. I would like to commend the UMO-OG for organizing this conference and for fostering fellowships in the community. Events such as this are an important reminder that our country is made great, not in spite of its diversity, but because of it. Please accept my best wishes for a productive meeting in Ottawa. Yours sincerely, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau.
Thank you for these words. Now I'd like to welcome Todd Doherty, is the member of the Parliament, the riding of Cariboo Prince George. Previous to his time as an MP, he was an aviation executive tasked with promoting regional, provincial, and national passenger, cargo, and tourism opportunities to the world stage. During his time in the Parliament, he was privileged to the Champion Bill C211. This bill is basically a comprehensive federal framework challenges with the treatment of PTSD. He currently serves as the Shadow Minister to the Fisheries, Oceans, and the Canadian Coast Guard. Please welcome Todd Doherty.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. I'm proud to be joined with I.LEAD Tanis, candidate for Ottawa South, as well as Mike Lalonde, Ottawa West Nepean, and my colleague in the House, Pierre Poilievre from Carleton. I'm just looking for my speech to see if it's going to be up on the screen. Assalamu alaikum. I'm so honored to be here with you all today. And on behalf of Andrew Scheer, the leader for the Conservative Party of Canada and the official opposition, I wish to express both our deep sadness at the tragic loss of the innocent life and our profound condemnation of this cowardly and hateful attack on the Muslim community. From the earliest reports of this event and throughout the evening and long into the next morning, I remained awake, watching as a horrific story unfolded before the world. I was both saddened and angered. Our hearts are heavy with the victims, their families, and the Muslim community. These were innocent men, women, and children that were attacked and killed while in their place of worship. They were fathers, they were mothers, they were brothers, they were sisters, they were children, and each one was a victim of hate. Houses of worship, like the two mosques attacked, should be places where all people can meet freely and without fear. Systemic racism, religious intolerance, and violent extremism have absolutely no place in our society. It is not enough for us to say only thoughts and prayers. As leaders, we must act. We must condemn in the strongest terms possible this type of evil and vile hatred that motivated the despicable hate and the attacks. We must condemn and eradicate all forms of racism, religious intolerance, and discrimination in our religious communities. On behalf of the Honourable Andrew Scheer, again, a leader of our Canada's Conservative Party, and my entire Conservative caucus colleagues, thank you again for affording us this opportunity to be here with you today. We are grieving with the Muslim community around the world and indeed here at home in Canada. We grieve with you the loss of these innocent lives. We wish you strength during the painful days ahead. And we stand with you and reaffirm our commitment to building a world where every people of every faith can live in freedom and peace together. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Pierre Poilievre. I'm the Member of Parliament for Carleton, just south of here. And it is an honor to be surrounded by so many friends and neighbors today. The great Canadian Prime Minister Wilfrid Laurier once pondered, what is Canadian nationality? And of course, he couldn't list any ethnicity or religion because there were already in that day too many of them to list. And so he concluded that Canada is free and freedom is its nationality. Freedom includes the ability to worship God in our own way without fear. And that freedom came under attack in New Zealand and Quebec City, where Muslims in their place of worship, who were innocently giving thanks to their God, came under attack by vile and evil terrorists who should be condemned in every way. Not only should they be condemned, but anyone who uses words to inspire such evil should face full condemnation from all of us. Because an attack on your freedom is an attack on everyone's freedom. Violence against any worshiper is violence against every worshiper. And so we stand today as Canadians, united with Muslims all around the world who have been victims of this evil. And we stay in solidarity, pledging to protect your freedom and mine so that we can go forward here in Canada with freedom as our nationality and hope as our guide. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very honored to present this check on behalf of the UMOOG to the United Way Ottawa. We all know what a tremendous job United Way Ottawa does for our kids, for our seniors, for our community health centers. I firsthand know very well the impact of the United Way to my community health center that I work for, Somerset West Community Health Center. They are there for our seniors. They are there for our after-school programs for our kids. For every kid who comes to the after program hungry, get fed from our bottom of our heart. Thank you. And we'd like to represent this to you as our support to the cause and the mission of United Way Ottawa. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you today. My name is Mark Taylor. I'm the Vice President of Resource Development at the United Way Ottawa Centraide, and I'm joined here by my colleague Denise Taylor-Gillen, who's the Vice President of Community Impact at United Way, which is what we're all about. And we're also joined by our colleagues John Heckbert and Abid John from United Way as well. We came here today not just to receive this check, and Denise is going to tell you what that means to us in a moment, but also to reiterate to our Muslim community that yesterday, when word of the tragedy in New Zealand spread around the globe and into our office at United Way, it didn't take a moment for us to stand up and say, we want to remind our Muslim community in Ottawa and around the eastern region and across Gatineau that we stand shoulder to shoulder with our Muslim community, united against hate, united against violence, and united against all forms of oppression across the globe. And it's so incredibly important that we take those actions in our community with all people of all faiths to remind those that we stand strongest when we stand together, when we stand united. And so, inshallah, we will do that, all of us together, and continue to do that in our community. And now, just to speak for a moment about what this donation was about, I think Denise is going to talk about one united organization, our United Way, and another united organization, the United Muslim Organization, and how they came together in the face of another tragedy in our community. Denise?
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much. It is an absolute honor to be here with you today. On September 21st of last year, many of you know, Ottawa and Gatineau region was struck by 6 tornadoes. More than 170,000 households lost hydro. and more than 350 households were severely damaged. And we are so very lucky that we did not lose any of our citizens. But a tragedy like that tells us all how important it is to have good neighbors who step up. One of the organizations that did a remarkable job was the Ottawa-Gatineau Muslim Organizations of Ottawa, the Muslim Organizations of Ottawa-Gatineau, who stepped up. They held barbecues, they provided comfort to their neighbors, they ensured that their neighbors had shelter. And in those early days when so much was going on and it was very hard to understand what was happening and who needed help, our community came together. I want to thank very specifically the Asuna Muslim Association, the South Nepean Muslim Community, the Canada Muslim Association, the Muslim Association of Canada, and the Jami Omar Mosque for the very generous contribution to United Way today. The funds that were received will go to support families and individuals who were victims of the tornadoes, to help them recover, to help them rebuild their community, and to understand and be able to process the tragic events of the 21st. It is very clear to us at United Way that when tragic events happen almost on a daily basis and so many people suffer, that when neighbors come together to support each other, we can rebuild our communities. And I thank you for your support today and for inviting us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now a few words by Mr. John Fraser.
Assalamu alaikum. Bonjour. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, and thank you for welcoming me, allowing me to say a few words. I want to begin by saying that all of my colleagues in the legislature, no matter what our partisan stripe, stand united with you today and every day against acts like this across the world, small acts in our society that we don't always see. You know, the attacks in Christchurch were an attack on families, and they had a real consequence for those families in Christchurch and for that country. But it was an attack on innocence across the world, in our community. You know, it's March break. Our kids are all at home. Our grandkids are all at home. And how do we explain this to them? How do we explain to them the unexplainable? So I see Mark Fisher here, who's a trustee with the Ottawa Board. I know they've moved to make sure there's resources available to children. But for parents, we're left with how do we answer that question? It's difficult. The answer is in community and in perseverance. We live here in Ottawa South in a community where there are many Muslims. People from 125 countries have chosen to make home. They speak 90 languages. You know, we live together, we work together. Our children go to school, they play together. We're very lucky. We're very lucky. We have something special, but it needs work. So on behalf of all of my colleagues behind me and all of my colleagues in elected office, I want to say that we want to work with you to continue to build that community. That's really a very special place in the world. So maybe someday our children's children will not have to explain to them why something like this would happen. Thank you. Merci.